As you can see behind me, there are many cars. These are all pretty decently priced, so that's why we're here today to pick up, well, one in particular. I'm looking at one in particular, and I'm gonna go inside before I get wet. Hello, welcome back to another vlog, and as you saw from the title, this car has some problems. In the last episode I mentioned that we could not see what the mileage was of this car. Well, that's not true anymore. I can now see it. Now, on some forums I found out that if you actually just shine a light towards it, you can see a little bit of what it's meant to say. Now, my camera is not going to show you properly, but the mileage is basically 105,000, which is around what I said, so that's good. Now, the reason as to why I'm making this video is obviously this vehicle right here. You saw it on the thumbnail on the back of a flatbed truck, basically being taken home. The place I bought this vehicle from was a very small place in the middle of Birmingham, in an awkward place to get. Birmingham, in the first point, let me just say, not my favourite place to drive. As I said, this vehicle was found about £500 below the average cost, and I was expecting some things to not be looked after properly or whatever. For example, the screen wasn't working, so that was one thing, and also it has really slow punctures on the front two tyres, which is another bloody thing. The wheels have to go anyway. They're absolutely disgusting. They are going to go. I really don't like them. I've had quite a few problems with this car already. The first one I want to mention was the fact, obviously, the tyres. The tyres are completely dead. This has been sat for like 2 days, literally flat. So that's problem one. This one has a slower puncture. Pumped it up the day we got it. It's a little bit flat, but the back two are fine. We can fix those or replace those with cheap tyres for now until we get new wheels for it, because those are not staying. So the other day, at the end of a video, we were going to go out after editing, and I had a little bit of time left over, rolled the car out for a thumbnail, took a picture, and then the battery died. This is not what I was actually talking about. This isn't the reason the car was taken back yesterday. It's not a flat battery. This is from me being a prat and starting it and stopping it, because I don't want to keep the engine running for very long. I was taking a thumbnail and the light started to flicker, and then it went off, and now it's dead. You're just going to laugh at me the whole video. We need to roll this in now, and you're going to help me. We're going to roll it in, and we're going to put it on charge. Now you're probably thinking, is that it? It's just a dead battery. That's absolutely nothing for you. Well, no, that's not the only thing. This car is currently not drivable. I say that, it is totally drivable. The problem is, though, the engine is getting no oil whatsoever. Now, this is a common problem with these motors as to when they are not looked after very well. Change your oil. The previous owner or owners clearly didn't change the oil enough, and we're now at 105,000, and I'm contemplating whether they actually changed it at all. I mean, there was a service a year ago, but it might have been a local garage and they were like, oh, just do the basic and give it a clean bill of health, you know. I just had to stop and get some air. Someone pointed it out to us. The tyres, the front two tyres were pretty low. They said it was flat, but it wasn't. But we put some more air in them, and now we're going. We are currently at, what fuel station is this? Esso. We're in Birmingham still, where we picked up the car. But we are currently stopped because the oil pressure light came on, which usually means it's low. But no, in this case, there's too much oil. I pulled out the dipstick, and it's at least twice what it should be.
It needs to be half of what it is.
So it needs to be half of what it actually is. I don't even know what to say. It's a Sunday. This is not what I wanted. I think we can get it home. We're at a gas station. There's not much we can do. It's Sunday. For God's sake. We just called the RAC, called a breakdown group, and they're basically now gonna come and get us. We were gonna risk it, but I thought, or Meadow thought, it would probably not be a good idea.
It made me very nervous.
She's probably wise.
It made you nervous too.
It made me nervous.
It's not just me that was nervous. I was like, oh, we're not going to drive this home because we're going to break down.
I revved it and it came up again, and I was like, there's a chance, as I said, it might just be too much oil. They can fix that easy. And it's not really that expensive for roadside assistance, we found out. We have like an hour and a half until they get here. We
chose to do the roadside assistance because we were going to drive off, and then he revved it, and then we both kind of sat there and looked at each other like, is this a good idea?
No.
We're both kind of like, probably not. The
car, just so you know, the car, it looks like someone filled it with oil and then forgot, or someone else did it.
And then filled it again.
Yeah, filled it again. But we do get cover for the engine for the next 14 days, so if it did blow up, we'd get our money back. But I'd rather it not blow up. We had an RSC person pop over. It's like the AA, AAA, whatever you want to say. Basically, the RSC came. Essentially, we need to drop the sump in the car, and the pickup pipe is apparently blocked up. It's basically from people not changing the oil. This car's been sat there for a while. It needs quite a lot of TLC. It was really, really cheap though, and as I said, I want to dive into this project so we get to drop the sump and whatever. That's essentially why I thought I had too much oil. Maybe they have topped it up and it has too much oil still. Buying used cars in the UK is generally a lot better than it is in the US because there's so much, like there's quite a strict rules as to what you can and can't do, and your car has to be working in this order and that sort of thing. And you would think that this would not be a problem, but essentially what happened with this vehicle is what I believe. In the video clips of the car being broken down, you will have seen me mention the fact that, well, I thought the oil had been overtopped or whatever. Well, that was one side effect of this. What we think has happened is no one's looked after this car properly. And in seeing this error pop up on the dash, which is like a red can opposed to a orange one, which means you should fill it up, the red can means there is no oil pressure. Basically, in this case, this engine has literally hardly any oil coming to it. If I decided to drive home, which I almost did decide to drive home, I would have ended up with a lot worse problems. The guy that was towing us home told us that this has happened to him recently. He's picked someone up recently on the motorway. They decided to keep going, and it sounded like nuts and bolts were flying around in his engine. It was absolutely destroyed. Thankfully, I didn't decide to do that. So what is clogged? Why can the car not get any oil? As I said, the common issue with these engines, as people not looking after them, is the sump is basically not picking oil up from the sump. And all we need to replace is this little piece that costs £15, or a whole new engine slash car. As said, this is my project car, and I'm going to be doing it myself with my friend, who is a mechanic. He's going to be coming over this weekend, and we're going to be doing the basics of pretty much servicing the vehicle, just because I don't trust anything in this car. I mean, the state of it, I kind of like it because it gives me something to step onto and be like, I made it work. But you get the idea. No idea if you can hear us, but we're currently being loaded onto the back. I've bought some more parts from Audi. Those have been delivered now. So there's basically the air filter, fuel filter, everything like that. Everything like that's going to be replaced because, again, although it's been serviced as according to a small garage, I don't know how well it's been serviced. So it's going to be properly cleaned out and made beautiful. But that was actually the first time I've ever been on the back of a recovery truck, which was really awkward. Obviously, they could have taken us home. There was like a van that pulled up. They could have taken us home, but they couldn't because it's an all-wheel drive vehicle. But hey, I wanted to be open with you guys. I could have hid all of this. I hid it pretty well. You guys, none of you guys expected that I actually got pulled home. This drove for 15 minutes before it started to rattle and stuff, and I was like, you know what? I should probably not drive it. I didn't want a Miata because every single person on YouTube has already built a Miata. This has a lot of potential. That is very easily possible, okay, to get very decent amount of power. I could answer so many questions. Why didn't you get this? Why didn't you get that? Why didn't you get this? And people, why didn't you get an R34? Okay, let me just somehow spend £1,500 and buy an R34. If it cost that little, do you seriously think I would have this and this? What? This is a learning car. It is okay if it breaks. It is okay if I crash it into a wall. It is okay if I do not fall in love with it, and it's okay if you don't like it either. For me, this was the best idea. It's a Miata style car, but it's all-wheel drive, and it's not a Miata. Which means it's something that I can't just go onto YouTube and copy every other YouTuber that's already done the same bloody thing. I haven't actually shown the engine bay yet. Open this bad boy up. Can find the catch. There we go. So this whopping amazing engine. Anyway, we'll be seeing a lot more of that at some point. I'm not exactly sure why, but for some strange reason, some people thought the X5 had gone missing. But no, it was just out of the way. Like, I can move it. It's a cut. It has wheels and they spin round, and then you need to drop the sump, replace the pickup pipe, replace the oil, replace all the filters and stuff, because I don't know how they're gonna look. But let's go get the filters because I kind of need them. But all of this is going to be happening over the weekend, starting on the Friday, and then over the weekend you'll see videos hopefully posted that weekend. I feel somewhat out of place here with all the Audi, to be fair, RS6. I'm going to do some car spotting while we're here, if that's okay.
Okay.
I love those things. But one day I might get one of those to replace that big thing. when I'm rich. What do you think?
I like
Do you want one? So this place is so large that over there where we originally went, which is like the main bit, is where you buy cars, and then over here is a parts department. It's bloody huge. Anyway, got the bits we want. Fuel filter, oil filter, and it has a sump plug with it. Pollen filter. Yeah, the other one is the air filter. Anyway, all the bits. So over this weekend, as I said, that's what we're going to be doing, is putting all these bits in and making sure the car doesn't blow up. If it does, then getting my money back. Why did I not get a hatchback? Because it's a hatchback. I've stated in the past many times that I do not want a hatchback. UK is full of hatchback culture, and a hatchback for that price to me makes no sense when I could get this for cheaper than a lot of the hatchbacks in that price range. I don't want a Clio, I don't want a Peugeot. We now have all the pieces ready for when the weekend project begins. It's going to be a big one, and just so people understand, this is going to be moved out. And we're going to maybe attempt to drive this in a little bit diagonally. It might give us a bit more leverage on both ends. But if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, you know what to do. Smash that like button, subscribe if you are new, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Until next time, guys, peace.